Hello everyone, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers. Something I would like to start doing more frequently is uploading forecast update videos to my YouTube channel specifically for Washington State. So, if you've followed the Washington Weather Chasers Facebook page for quite a while and have enjoyed my updates, please go ahead and start checking in on YouTube as well and see if there's any forecast videos there. And while you're at it, please give it a like and a subscribe, and let's jump into it. Right now, we are looking at the visible satellite imagery, and as you can see, there is a system that is moving across the state right now. There are some residual showers in western Washington, but some more robust showers east of the Cascades in eastern Washington with some thunderstorm activity. Speaking of that thunderstorm activity, we can hop over to the radar right here, and we can see near Soap Lake and Odessa and Othello, there are some pretty decent thunderstorms going on. But west of the Cascades, the showers are much lighter in nature, bringing some light rain to places like Arlington, North Marysville, and Everett. Looking at rain totals for the area, we can see that they've been pretty light for the most part, but any amount of rain is going to help right now. Out on the coast, there's a couple areas near Forks that have received upwards of an inch of rain. Right there at the Quileute Airport, they've received 1.04 inches of rain, and in Forks proper, they've received 0.94 inches of rain. But for the most part, up and down the I-5 corridor, amounts have been under 1/10 of an inch, with the exception of a couple areas near Arlington and also North Lake Stevens and portions of Granite Falls, which have received close, if not over, a ½ inch of rain. And then in the mountains, there's been a couple spots that have received up to an inch, ½ inch to an inch, and then amounts have been much lighter east of the Cascades. The topic of most concern coming into this next week is there is a fire weather watch for the Cascades and the western slopes of the Cascades, and also down into portions of the lowlands down south of Olympia. And if we were to look at this fire weather watch, I'm going to adjust this so that you can see it. We see that generally this is for the Black Hills and the southwest interior lowlands, the northeast Puget Sound lowlands generally below 1,500 feet, and then the southeast Puget Sound lowlands generally below at 1,500 feet. West slopes of the North Cascades generally above 1,500 feet, and the west slopes of the Central Cascades generally above 1,500 feet. So we see that there are some kind of repetitions in there. But really what this is for is a combination of moderate breezes, low relative humidity, and warm temperatures can contribute to rapid spread rates and downwind spotting of existing fires. If a fire were to begin, air quality may diminish in the surrounding area. Winds will be greatest along the gaps of the Cascades, mainly for areas north of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest. And this is a fire weather watch that was issued by the National Weather Service in Washington. So that's something that we're going to be watching for. And if we look at the model data here, switch over to the at ground level wind feature here, looking at the NAM3CAM, going through Sunday, Monday, we see that starting on Monday night, the winds begin to turn offshore a bit, and by early Tuesday morning, we see that there is some easterly wind that begins along the Cascades, which really begins to pick up by mid-Tuesday morning. And so up here in the Highway 2 gap and the I-90 gap and the Stampede gap, and also down towards the gorge, there's going to be some pretty substantial easterly winds. And the actual fire weather watch calls for winds to be sustained around, what was it? 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts to 30 miles per hour. But according to what I am seeing here on some of these models, like this NAM3CAM model, zoom ahead to Tuesday morning again. we see that this is calling for wind speeds possibly up to 50 miles per hour in places like North Bend. One thing to keep in mind, though, is the NAM3KM tends to overdo these kind of wind speeds for easterly winds. So let's look at what the European model is showing for that. Looking at Tuesday here. And it is also showing wind speeds potentially getting up towards 45, 50 mile per hour wind gust on the I-90 corridor during Tuesday morning. And also up near the US 2 corridor gap, gusts up towards 40 miles per hour, and same for the gorge. So those easterly winds are going to lower the humidity levels, because when you have wind coming off the slopes, it compresses and it dries, and it also warms, and so that's going to lead to some fire danger. So right now it's looking like the possibility of that is pretty up there. That's why they have the fire danger watch in effect for this area right here, highlighted in kind of the tan color. Now, looking a bit off into the future, I've been keeping an eye on the possibility of real autumn, because today, with the weather that's happening outside, it's kind of showery. I'm looking outside my window right now. I've got some showers going. Temperatures in the upper 50s, low 60s. Feels like autumn out there, but by Tuesday, on the day when we have the fire danger again, temperatures are going to be up into the mid 80s on that day. So when is real autumn going to kick in? Real sustained autumn weather? Well, here we're looking at the upper level jet stream on the European model. Let's go into the future a bit. So here we're looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And here, this is Washington State, is right about here. We have a pretty substantial jet stream approaching the region by what looks like next weekend, possibly. And it digs out a nice trough into next week. And now we're looking pretty far out into the future here. So we cannot be totally sure if this is going to happen. But if something like this, if something close to this were to happen, then that would start the storm train and really get autumn going. Looking at the GFS, let's see if it agrees with that. So here we're looking at Saturday, next Saturday, Sunday. It's kind of similar. Got the jet stream pointed at the Pacific Northwest. And going into next week, it really gets things going and active. But like that said, this is over 10 days out at that point. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on that. But there's a possibility that we could be coming into a more active weather time here. So going back to the European model, I want to just kind of look at the total precipitation with this event on what it showed. And that's pretty close. It actually kind of showed that up towards a ½ inch near Everett and whatnot, lighter amounts east of the Cascades. But then going into this next week, we see that there's maybe a little bit of rain possible going through the day on Wednesday, hardly anything. And then as we come into next weekend is where the amounts really can possibly start piling on. And anything past 240 hours is what we consider to really be fantasy. But if something like this could happen, that would be very beneficial for eliminating the fire season, but we don't know for sure. But what is looking like a possibility is that by next weekend, maybe, and early next week, we could possibly be coming into a more active weather pattern here. Let's look at the GFS for that real quick and see if it shows a similar idea. So going into the next weekend, some rain starts picking up. Going into the early part of next week, not quite as rainy as the European model, but things are looking hopeful for the possibility of more rain heading towards the area in a more sustained fashion by late September. Okay, so to summarize everything, we have a system going through the area right now, light showers in western Washington, thunderstorms in eastern Washington, light amounts of rain have fallen across the region so far, heavier rain on the coast. We have a fire weather watch up for the western slopes of the Cascades that's really could be upgraded to a warning on Tuesday, and the possibility of more active weather by next weekend and early next week. So I hope that is helpful to you guys. If you would like to see these kind of videos more often, please let me know in the comments, and also let me know what kind of weather you're seeing in your area. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll catch you later.